Faux meat's becoming more popular as many people explore vegetarian and vegan diets. Fiona Kane is a nutritionist from Informed Health, and Fiona joins us now. How are you doing?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
Was this on purpose that we did it this time of the day? Because we are both rather starving and now we're talking about meat.
Yeah, same here. I talk about food all day, so I end up being hungry all day.
There you go. So faux meat, as we call it, really getting out there, particularly among millennials. There's a lot of socially conscious people we'll talk about in a minute. But just start us off by describing what is faux meat.
So faux meat essentially is just fake meat. So it's when you turn other sort of vegetable or vegetarian items into something that might look, smell or taste like meat. And essentially it's made in a lab. So really a scientist goes into a lab and sort of creates this thing and adds a little bit of red to make it look like blood, and adds a little bit of this to make it taste like chicken, and a little bit of that to sort of make it a certain colour. And yeah, it's just fake meat.
So besides it, just, you know, there's additives and there's all sorts of things going into it, like in some of the bad fake meats or the, you know, like lesser quality ones, they've got a lot of preservatives in them too. But besides that, there's obviously a lot of proteins that go into it, like non-animal proteins. So what kind of protein is popular among the faux meat purveyors at the moment? What are we seeing?
The two most popular are soy and pea protein. So they'll use both of those. And look, this doesn't sound like it's essentially a bad thing because peas and soy are healthy. But essentially what they do is when they're making these ultra packaged foods, which is what they are, ultra packaged foods, they strip anything in them that's of almost any value, and then they put this protein into there, and then they add a whole bunch of synthetic vitamins and minerals so that because it's be this, it's not be that, to make it sound healthy, when it, you know, you've got to create that when, you know, you've got real food such as meat that actually has the nutrients in it already.
So that is a very good point, and I'm glad that you raised that, because I've never had faux meat, and not because I think that it may taste rubbish, and when I'm hungry I don't want to take the risk of spending that hunger on something that may taste rubbish. But why do people actually do this if it doesn't sound like there are many benefits to doing it? Is it really just the social side, or what about the cost?
Yeah, look, I think the cost is pretty comparable, but look, I think that the people do it mostly because of two main things. One is because they think it's better for their health, because it's very much being mispromoted that way. And the other is because they have concerns about the environment, and they feel like eating this fake meat that was made in this lab is going to be better for the environment than eating meat.
Which I guess we're told that cows require a lot of water and, you know, a lot of farming, etc., before they eventually make their way to the happy abattoir out there, as we see. Do you think that that's a big part of it, that people kind of think that it's just better for the environment, and how much better is it to actually eat this faux meat?
Yes, well, people do believe it's better, and they believe it's better simply because of the carbon footprint, I suppose. And, you know, what we do know is that there have been studies done on beef and on how we could actually make it better for the environment. And, you know, you can do it if it's done well. So it's not just beef itself, it's actually our farming practices. I think our farming practices can be improved. So yeah, that is an issue. But then you look at packaging foods, when you look at making something fake in a factory, there's a lot that goes into that as well. And when you consider that you're putting it in packaging and then you're sending it out to wherever it's going to, there's the travel costs, you know, it sort of ends up becoming, you know, I don't know, to me, questionable about how much that's going to save the environment.
So Fiona, I've also looked at that before, and I've just balked at the fact that you have organic fruit and veggies at the supermarket packed in all this plastic, like more plastic than the other fruit and veggies in the rest of the supermarket.
It's funny you say that. Yesterday I was having a look at that. But even like,
contrast.
Remember the days where you used to just be able to go get that little bag and fill as much lettuce as you want yourself? Now everything is packaged. Everything is packaged.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
So we're moving to this more environmental, sustainable world, but then we have these things that aren't really matching up with that are still obviously underpinning that world, that movement. So it's very curious. But as a nutritionist, what would you recommend for people that do want to reduce their meat intake, or maybe they are vegan or vegetarian? What do they supplement their diet with besides these fake meats?
Yes. Well, see, first of all, I would say if you're doing it for health reasons, then you don't need to. If you're doing it for other reasons, then it's completely up to you. Obviously, people choose how they would like to eat and what they believe in. But what I would say is there's several nutrients that can be problems in a vegan, especially a vegan diet, which is this is the market they're aiming for. In a vegan diet, they often are deficient in protein, and it really, really is important to eat plenty of protein. But the nutrients that they're most deficient in, one is B12. There really hasn't been yet a B12 in plant products that has been proven to be something that can be absorbed by human beings. And without B12, you can get very sick, but it can take several years to show up. Unfortunately, what happens is when people do start a vegan diet is they feel great in the beginning, because you do really, if you change your diet and stop eating rubbish and eat well, whatever the diet is, you will feel really good for a while. But then what happens is after a while, they deplete of nutrients. So the nutrient stores that they had disappear, and then they start feeling awful, and that can take years. And unfortunately, they don't relate that back to the vegan diet. They don't realize it's because their nutrients have run out. So B12 very much. But another one people forget about is vitamin A, and we think that, well, vitamin A is in all of the colorful vegetables, like it's pre-vitamin A, it's all the yellow things and green and orange, and so they say there's plenty of vitamin A, but that's called pre-vitamin A. And to actually convert that into vitamin A, you need certain enzymes to do that, and not everyone can do that well. So the people who don't do well on vegan diets are often people that can't convert pre-vitamin A into vitamin A, and that's essential for bone health and for immune health. They're the people who get very sick on vegan diets.
I guess the other aspect is it's really in our DNA from the way you describe it as well. I mean, look right back to cavemen, not that I was around, even though my co-host keeps calling me a boomer these days, but
okay, boomer.
It was very much in the human DNA I guess no one got fit by running around chasing a plant.
No. And look, I'm not saying that plants are a problem. I think that, plants are fantastic. And, if you're eating a diet that's loads and loads of veggies, that's fantastic.
Well, actually, hang on. One person in my family went on a carrot diet, hilariously, and her skin turned completely orange until she fainted.
If you do have too many carrots, that does happen, doesn't it, Fiona?
Plants can kill.
Well, drink too much water, you can die from that as well.
Too much anything.
Yes.
I think we've just got to get back to just eat real food and as fresh and good quality as you can. And yes, there's a lot we can improve with farming practices, and there's a lot we can improve, pesticides and all sorts of things that we use. And I think there's problems with our food system all the way through. It's not just about meat.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Fiona.
This is Ticker, your new source for news.